who is joining us now. Can everyone hear me? Can you just say yes if you can? And we're just, there she is.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. Say your greetings. I know I came on too early.
Yes, no, you're on, and I'm just adjusting this, and I just want to thank everyone for joining us. We are launching on Mondays at this time a series of conversations, which hopefully will continue. And I just want to say, it is such an honor to start this with you, Shefali. And so welcome. The idea behind this really came, I just texted Shefali and said, I'm launching my new book and I'd love to have a conversation, but then it expanded into a larger series where we're going to invite other experts, talk about mindfulness in parenting, conscious parenting, and also the Chopra app has launched, which now has a mindful parenting and meditations for kids. So I want to invite everyone to download the app and really visit that. But Shivali, I was remembering, I think you sent me the galley of your book before it actually came out, like a long time ago. And one of the things I remember just reading it at that time, but then really rereading, and I want to share with everyone, both the conscious parent and the awakened family, and we'll hear more about what Shefali has been working on. But it is so inspiring to see how your work has impacted the world. So, thank you for that service. And I just want to dive right in and talk about your work, and really, you're such a good fit for this conversation because parenting is a spiritual journey. And I think your work has really turned that kind of idea of how do we parent to really self-reflection. So do you want to just share a little bit about your thoughts on the journey of self-discovery that comes by being a parent?
Sure, but let me just tell everyone I just got your books. It's
Thank
Just
you.
Feel, Just Be You, and Just Breathe. And I love the graphics, and they are for, would you say, 7 to 15-year-old kids?
Exactly. So I wrote them for, we say 8 to 12-year-olds, but really at that stage when children can start comprehending these ideas that about tips on just self-regulation and breathing and meditation, but then really social emotional well-being, and this new one just be on self-discovery, and just reminding people that the spiritual journey, whatever it may be, is not just about anxiety and stress, but it's really discovering who
So
we
they
are.
do these come together in a
They are
package?
now all available, finally, all three of them.
Yeah, I love it. Just Feel, Just Be You, Just Breathe. And what I loved about it, I just thumbed through them, is that you have things for falling asleep, for taking a walk, for having a headache, meditation for pain, cooling down, breath, a routine walk in a new way. I mean, it's like really broken down very concretely, right? Was that your intention to?
Yeah, the goal is, and I think that's why I was so excited to have you on board for this call, because I think you're presenting the information in terms of the parent's journey, but the parent's journey also shapes the child's journey, and I think it's a symbiotic relationship. We bring our issues as parents to our children.
Yes, yes.
So I do think this is a way that we can embark on that journey together.
Yep, I love it. So to your question, as you've been alluding to, we have so many intimate relationships in our lives. And in all of them, we can get away with just blaming the other person and dumping the blame on them because they're two adults typically. But with our children, we can't really do that too honestly, because we know we were part of their intimate journey from the start. So here is an opportunity to look at our own self, which we don't typically do in other journeys. In other intimate relationships with our parents, we blame them. With our partners, we blame them. With our friends, we leave them. But this relationship, because we are locked in and we've been there from the start, if we want, here is the opportunity to really transparently and honestly and brutally look at what we have contributed. You know, we don't create our children, but we for sure co-create their nature and our interaction with them from the start. You know, we can blame our spouses, mothers, and we can blame our friends, parents, but with our children, it's us. So here's the opportunity to look within. And if you are able to turn it around and not look at this as a burden or as a blame game, but really as a portal to go deeper and say, wow, like I am really impatient, or I'm really reactive, or I'm such an anxious person, or I'm putting my expectations on my kid. When you can be honest like that, here's the opportunity now for you to grow. But the growth is scary for people to look in the mirror. You know, it's
the growth is very hard because yes, I think your children are a mirror often of how we live. And I always say, but people are always asking me, you know, how do we teach our children how to meditate? How do we teach them these techniques? And I always say, well, what is your journey? What are you role modeling for them? And because our kids are always watching us, but they come with their own unique sense of spirit. And one of the things that, you know, I so appreciated that you said in the book, and I see myself doing this, you know, I have two daughters who are very different from each other. And yet, even in my approach to them, it's like reminding myself, I don't want to create mini me's. You know, I want to, how do I harness their individual spirit, their individual talents, and, you know, just as I say in the subtitle of my book, their special self that we really want to nurture.
Well,
So how do we
the
do
only
that?
way to do it really is to get out of their way. And the only way we're going to get out of their way is if our way is illuminated, if our way is clear. Like, we should be so busy walking our path that we should not really be invading their path. And the problem is that most of us have been, women especially, sorry to say, we've so identified with the role of mother. And many of us had to give up our jobs, and our bodies were smashed and ruined. And so now these children become our manna, our gateway to our lost self. So we use them to fulfill what we've left behind. And we dump on them all our unmet fantasies. They become our identity. And when any one relationship outside of us, or our career, or our purpose becomes our identity, now that's dangerous, because we cannot separate ourselves from that identity. So if motherhood is an identity, our children are feeding that identity. So they become feeders of our ego instead of us being feeders of their essence. And that's where the danger is.
And absolutely, even in your book, you talk about, and I've experienced this as well, you know, so much of like finding our role as a mother also becomes like, what do other people think of me, in that, oh, I didn't volunteer for hot lunch, or I wasn't there for that meeting, versus kind of really honoring also what we need, and not having that object referralness, and the judgment that we hold on to so dearly, when we're trying to prove that we are, you know, the best mom out there, the best entrepreneur or author or speaker. There's only so much we can juggle, right? So what is your advice to women, specifically about being really honest and authentic about their place, both in their family, but in their community as well?
Yeah, well, you know, we women especially have been trained to look for love and worth on the outside. And because of this, we translate that to our motherhood as well. So we want people on the outside to give us validation. You know, look, I'm an amazing mother. Because that motherhood, as I said, is a feeder of our identity. So as long as we're doing that, we are going to be prey to the opinions of other people, to the validations of other people, hungry for, do you see me? Do you see I made the best cupcakes, the best cookies? I mean, I don't know a single mother who hasn't gone through that. Look, I made the cake myself, you know? And we have to prove to others that we are worthy of being a mother. It's so sad. And you know, this is our PhD, this is our project, this is our corporate corner office, you know, or our promotion. And this is our trap. And we're going to keep on this roller coaster until we realize, oh my goodness, I'm using this role to fill my emptiness, to fill my hole. So the only way now to reverse that is to begin to fill my hole. So I cannot use my children. I cannot use my partner. I cannot use my image. I cannot use my career. How do I fill this emptiness that I'm so, you know, hungry to fill? Because I've been filling it through all these outside people, my friends, my popularity, the PTA, my children's grades. So now comes the real hard part. So once you become aware, now it's like, oh my God, I have this cavernous inner void that I've been filling from outside. Now begins the inner journey. And you and I know meditation is a key, but so is just self-growth and taking courses from wisdom teachers and learning how to fill that inner voice. How do I become aligned with my own voice so I'm not so focused and obsessed with what people around me are saying? How do I grow that voice?
Absolutely beautiful. And you know, it's sometimes really painful and hard, and it takes time. It's interesting. I'm just in my a phase where my daughter, my elder daughter, just went to college, and so there is this it almost hurts how much we miss her, you know, but she is thriving, and she is blossoming, and she is finding her way. And that feels like something that we're so joyful and celebrating. And then I have my 16-year-old at home, and, you know, I'm almost now really suddenly aware of her departure. And so it's just it's an interesting, we go through different stages of life. And I do feel like, you know, it's a real pivot time for me in terms of self-exploration. But Shivali, what I did want, one of the things, this line that you have in the book is the spirit that is throbbing with its own signature when you describe how each of our children brings something unique to this world. And, you know, that was my goal with Just Be You, the new book, is like, how do we encourage children to explore, to dream, to wonder, to imagine? And you even talk about, and I talk a lot about this with parents as well, is just being bored. So how do we nurture that throbbing, unique spirit?
I'm here.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, so I was just to finish the thought, how do we cultivate that spirit that is throbbing with its unique signature, as you say?
Well, first to be aware that children come in a unique way, and they're going to interact with this world, and the world, to some degree, us included, are going to contaminate their essence. That's just a given. You can't stay unadulterated. It's funny, the word unadulterated. You know, yes, the adults adulterate you. Anyway, so they come unique, and they come full of essence and a throbbing signature. Now, the culture, you know, has marauded us and abducted us from our essence. Our generation, before conscious parenting was even a thing, nobody cared. Our parents' generation, your parents different, but most of us grew up with unconscious parents who didn't give a hoot about our essence, because their parents didn't care about their essence. And basically, children were just to toe the line, to meet expectations, to be seen and not be heard, and move along. Let's just get along and have this thing called family and reach adulthood. So it was mechanical, it was transactional, it was very conditional. But now, as we are learning about consciousness, we're trying to honor the child's essence. So the way to honor it is to first become aware of how culture will take its take the essence of the child and maraud it. And
Mm-hmm.
you are the mediator between culture and the child. So for example, if your child is now, going to school and getting C grades, right? Suppose the kid is getting a C grade. So here's culture, quantifying your child's essence into a grade. Here's your child. You are in between. And if you are now conscious, you're going to be pulled because you were raised unconsciously. You were raised with fear. Oh my goodness, C grade. Oh my goodness, my kid didn't get invited to a birthday party. Oh my goodness, my kid is not going to a fancy college. You are going to hear your own baggage because you've been contaminated. But as a conscious parent, you are now the shield between culture and the essence. And to the degree you can negotiate that you don't get puppeteered by the culture, will be your ability to hold the child in essence. So in response to the child, the old way, the unconscious way, would be to freak out, punish the child, tell the child he's stupid and lazy, and get a tutor and have a manic attack, a manic attack. The conscious way would be to just understand its cause and effect. It's a consequence of either the child not understanding, or the child not being a fit for the subject, or the child not putting in the work. But we don't have to get anxious. The anxiety comes because culture has taught us, contaminated us, to live in fear and scarcity. So consciousness is about being the mediator between a very insanely anxious culture and our children's essence. This separation between culture and our essence has to occur, but it didn't occur for us, so we have to learn a new way. Very hard, but that's the task of a courageous, conscious parent that protects the child's essence to the greatest degree possible.
And what I would share is that from the child's side, and I think it is also giving them the permission to not feel like they need to label themselves, that through practice they get a sense of self that goes beyond, I'm an A student, or I'm a soccer player, or, all of the roles that actually, even as parents, we like to, my daughter's a singer, or she's a computer programmer, but she may have been a computer programmer intrigued by that in 4th grade, but in 7th grade, wants to be a drummer. So we also have to give them absolute open space to constantly be exploring. And as parents, I think, not get attached to all the labels that often serve our own ego more than giving them the space.
Yeah, we are so ready to, what does your child do? What is your child into? What does your child want to be when they grow up? All of that is adulteration. It comes from lack into the future. It has nothing to do with who the child is. It's our need to put a label, to put them in a box, to put them in a category, because it gives us some idea that we know who our kid is and who they're going to be in the future, and it gives us control.
Yeah.
It's, but your children will honestly tell you, at least 75% of them have no idea what to do in college, and that's honest. Now, there's 25% of kids who know, but even those kids could change their mind, and they should change their mind, to your point. So it's, again, culture trying to label, to put us in boxes. It did it to our generation. It wants us to do it to the next generation.
And I think the reality is we're seeing so much anxiety in children because they're forever trying to serve the needs of their parents, or, as you said, the larger culture, which we are putting on them. Shefali, you also talk about this idea of being, and again, I bring it up in the book, is like, reminding people that we are human beings, not human doings. So how do you define being?
Yeah, it's hard to define these elusive words. I think, just before I answer that, we need to understand that we have been severely disconnected from our hearts. Now, what is the heart? Where is the heart? But the heart meaning of our intuition, our feelings, our being. So what is being? Being is non-intellectual, non-rational, non-logical, but highly thoughtful and connected. That's to what? To our own inner voice. Now, where's the inner voice, right? Do I look in my t-shirt? Is it there? It's, again, these are hard things to define, but it's who you most authentically believe you are, that being. is who you are. So we've been teaching our children to be disconnected from that being state, to be split apart. And returning to that being state is the entire journey of the conscious adult. So as parents, the more we allow our children to lead by being, doesn't mean they don't do, but let it lead by being, meaning, are you are you on the horse right now because it's you, or are you on the horse right now because you think it's cool to be a horse rider, or you think I want you to be a horse rider? Please don't be on the horse because of me.
Yes.
Are you really feeling it? So when we attune our children to that kind of language and that kind of inquiry, and we are not invested in whether it's a horse, a cat, a dog, or a saddle or a swing, then our children begin to go, but I don't feel like it. Okay, then don't do it. Now, people will say, oh, so we just only do things we feel like doing. Life is not like that. Life is not simple. Life is a struggle. But life is actually quite simple. Now, of course, do you have to bathe and be kind and not be a thief? Sure. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, oh, I feel like having, 16 cookies. I'm going to have 16 cookies. It's not about that. It's about the doing, being led by a deeper being. That's all. It's just understanding it's not doing for the sake of achievement and competence and control, but asking, does this align with my being? Just that simple question. And that's what your whole book is about.
And I think, yes, and I think as a child myself who learned how to meditate when I was 9, 10 years old, it comes also from experience, not just an intellectual understanding, which is why I'm such a believer in meditation and mindfulness and asking these questions. And I do want to encourage people to explore the meditations for kids on the app, the Chopra app, because I think at the end of the day, if we can give kids tools to experience this, to ask the questions, to be comfortable with uncertainty, we're setting them up with the resilience and also that sense of being to take them forward. So, pre-COVID, I think our kids were often super busy, overscheduled, and actually probably as parents, many of us were also just trying to keep them busy or, getting all those accolades and accomplishments that we all seek, which, is very ego-based. But COVID has changed it all. A lot of the athletes haven't been able to play. A lot of the artists haven't been able to be in their theater productions. From a very practical standpoint, kids have had a lot more time and they've had a lot more time at home. And so what do you see, what are the lessons we can learn from this year where maybe we've had more family time and we've also maybe let go of some of the activities and the busyness that we've put on our children?
Yeah, I think resoundingly, COVID has helped us pause and enter solitude. And I hope people can see that half the nonsense they were doing was just to be distracted and busy. And it was insane the amount of things our children were doing. And to see that our children are quite okay doing less. They were mostly doing a lot of the manic things because we had put in them the fear that if they don't do it, they won't get to a good college. And all of that has stopped. Now, does it mean that our children are happy not, playing baseball? No, of course, if they're passionate about it. But a lot of our doing was busy doing. It was rote and robotic. It was to distract us. A lot of it was our addiction to keep from solitude. And that's why it's been very hard for people to be home. You and I know, love this. We don't want to come out of it. Not the painful health hazards of it, but the solitude and the contemplation and the slowing down and the quietude for people like us is heaven sent, because it's what we know is the inspired life. So, but for many people, it's been very uncomfortable simply because this much quiet has been threatening. but it's a coming home. It's a returning to center, returning to the more ordinary life that we should have been living all along. And hopefully we will get the jewels of this kind of simplicity and not be threatened by it. Many are threatened because they don't know how to be alone.
Yep.
But
yeah, and again, I think it's the journey. It's the time, the blessings that many of us have had with our children at home. Even my daughter went to college 6 months later than she was supposed to, and it was such a gift because it was 6 months after she graduated from a very intense, high school few years. And for the first time, I just saw her sleeping in, reading novels, watching Netflix shows, being with friends. It was a really beautiful time, and a reminder that, of what life and being and growth and connection is all about. So Shefali, we only have a few more minutes. Before I do that, so many people are asking about your books. So I want to just make sure this is the Conscious Parent. This is the Awakened Family. And I know you're working, I want to hear about what you're working on next, and you have more books coming out, but I'm so intrigued. I don't think I've really understood before, but like as I really delved into your work, I grew up in a very spiritual family. Um, what inspired you to do the work you're doing? And then maybe you can also share what's next.
yeah, sure. I think when I came to America, I was 21 years old. So I grew up in India, and I had a great family and nothing really out there in terms of consciousness, but definitely a supportive, loving environment. Uh, but when I came here at 21, I immediately went for my first Vipassana meditation, and I felt drawn to it. And then since then, my life irrevocably changed. So I was already studying psychology, and then I got the Eastern meditation piece and was able to see the confluence of both. And then when I became a parent, it just became more clear. All that I had been studying came to life, and I began writing about it. So it all just followed quite seamlessly. But I'm excited to share my new book. I don't know how to do the switch. Do you know how to switch it?
I don't know either, and I can see people are asking, can we put them straight?
Yeah,
I know when I do.
there is a reverse. Let me try, okay? But I'm
Yeah,
scared. I'm a little scared.
and I will just say
Oh
once
yeah,
you.
no. You went to
No,
my
you're now
computer.
like, yeah,
Yeah,
dark.
there is a way to do it. I've forgotten. Somebody had shown it to me. But
Yeah.
anyway, this is my new book. It's called A Radical Awakening. A Radical Awakening. I wish we could do the mirror thing, but we both don't know how to do it.
We'll post it on Instagram after in the
Yeah.
description.
So you can go right now to aradicalawakening.com and buy the book, and then you get registered for my free masterclass next week. I'm doing a free masterclass. So aradicalawakening.com. That's my next book coming out in May.
Congratulations. And, I think I've been watching you, Shefali, now, just the success is because the message is so powerful. And, I know how Oprah has, adopted you also and bringing your work to the world, but it's because it's transformational. And so I just, one, we're also proud of you. And it's just so exciting to be connected on this journey, both as parents, as coming from a place where we want to share tools with people. So again, just one, thank you also for your support of me, and I just so look forward to the next book as well.
Love it. Thank you, Malika.
Okay.
And here's all her beautiful books. I'm going to post it as
Thank
well. So we
you.
get to
Thank you
share
so
each
much.
other's work and support each other. Love what you do. Thank you
Great.
so much, everyone.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. All right. So thank you, everyone, for joining. And we'll be doing a number of conversations as we move forward. Okay. Bye.